Hey friends, it's Len here from 1A Auto. Today we have a third generation Cadillac Escalade inside the studio. We want to go over what I would look for if I was doing a 100,000 mile service. Let's get started. Okay friends, so let's get started by talking about what specifically do every 100,000 miles on these type of trucks. Essentially, you're going to start off with the spark plugs. Your spark plugs look a lot like this, and they're iridium spark plugs. Typically, the iridium on these is going to be a very hard metal, and of course, it's a precious metal. That's why these spark plugs cost a little bit more, but they also tend to last an extremely long period of time. Like I said, 100,000 miles. That's quite a while, really, for a spark plug, so you're doing all right. You want to actually replace the spark plugs approximately every 100,000 miles on this. When you're doing spark plugs, it really only makes sense to replace the spark plug wires as well. The spark plug wires are of course going to be attached from the coil down along the engine right here and then to the spark plug. The spark plug is going to be located right inside the engine. You're going to have 8 of these. There's going to be 4 on each side of the engine. Now the next thing we're going to pay attention to on this is the transmission fluid. The transmission should be serviced approximately every 100,000 miles as well. Is that an extended period of time for transmissions? Yeah, especially if you're towing or hauling something. If that's the case, obviously you probably want to make sure you're checking it more often and even replacing it more often. But Cadillac recommends it every 100,000 miles. To check your transmission fluid, you'd of course come right over here to your dipstick. That's where you're going to be able to gauge where the transmission fluid's at quality-wise. You can go ahead and pull it out, check it on a nice white rag. If it looks like it's dirty, obviously replace it. If you find that it's low and maybe even has a little bit of metal deposits inside there, you might actually have transmission problems, but we're going to say that that's not the case. Cadillac, like I said, recommends this every 100,000 miles to be serviced. So to do that, you'd need to get underneath the truck, drop your transmission pan. You're going to drain out as much of that fluid as possible. Make sure you clean out the inside of that pan of any debris that might be in there, and if there's a filter located on the transmission, make sure you replace that as well. Put on a brand new seal, fill it up with the proper transmission fluid, which is Dextron 6 in this particular truck, and then after that, take it for a nice road test. Make sure it's up to par, and you should be good to go. So we talked about the transmission. You're also going to want to make sure you check/service your transfer case fluid on this. The transfer case is going to be the center unit of your driveline system, essentially where your drive shafts go into. That transfer case fluid is going to be special. It's going to be kind of like a bluish hue. It's not going to be the pinkish red like other transmission fluids. You're going to want to make sure you use the proper transmission fluid because if you put the wrong stuff in there, you could potentially cause detrimental damage to your transfer case. And this is generally just a drain and fill service. Next, we're going to talk about a couple things that are due after the 100,000 mile service. Approximately 150,000 miles, Cadillac recommends servicing your coolant and your brake fluid. Let's start off by talking about your coolant. The coolant's going to be located right about here. You can go ahead and take a peek inside there, but essentially what you want to do is drain out your coolant and you want to flush it. You want to get all brand new coolant inside there. This is going to be special coolant. It's not the green coolant, it's super long life coolant, so it's called Dexacool. You want to go ahead and make sure you use the proper coolant and flush it at least twice. That way there you can make sure you get out the majority of the existing or old coolant that's in the system. So now I mentioned talking about your brake fluid. Your master cylinder is going to be located over here on the driver's side, kind of up against the firewall of the truck. Essentially, you want to go ahead and open that up and you want to take a peek inside there. You want to gauge the color of it and everything like that. But it's actually recommended to be flushed every 150,000 miles on this. I would recommend it every 100,000 miles, and when you do it, you want to make sure that you use .3 brake fluid. So that's pretty much what I've got for things that are recommended to be serviced approximately every 100,000 miles, but there's a lot of other things that we should talk about. Continuing on with the fluids that are located underneath your hood, we're going to talk about your power steering fluid. You want to go ahead and you want to open this up and you want to take a quick look at it. Make sure it's nice and full, and of course it's clean. If it isn't, you can try to flush it out. Just basically checking it is kind of the maintenance for this as of now. We're also going to want to make sure we talk about the washer fluid, the all-important washer fluid. You want to make sure that you top that off, and of course do it for the season that you're in. So if it's wintertime, make sure that you use something that has a very low freeze point. Next, if you have access to a multimeter, go ahead and test that battery. We want to make sure we're up to at least the 12-volt range. Anything below that, you're going to either want to maintenance it or replace your battery. While we're still talking about electrical, let's jump over to the fuse box. Go ahead and lift up your cover, take a peek under here, make sure you don't see any mouse nest or anything the like. Typically, mice like to make their way up inside here because it's a nice cover and it kind of protects them. So make sure you take a peek. I would do that. more often than every 100,000 miles, honestly. Now, before we get out from under the hood, let's go ahead and make sure we check our Serpentine Belt. I like to give them a nice tug. That's going to check the tensioner, which is located over on the passenger side. And I always like to inspect the belt, especially on the ribbed side, and make sure I don't see a whole bunch of cracks. Typically, if you see a couple cracks, it's not too big of a deal, but if they extend all the way across the ribs, or even there's a whole bunch of them going around the whole belt, you'd obviously want to go ahead and replace that. And obviously, don't forget to make sure you check all of your coolant hoses. You want to make sure you don't see any breaks, splits, or cuts inside any of them. And of course, check along all the joints where they're supposed to connect onto something such as your radiator or even the engine. Make sure you don't see any leaks. Now we're also going to make sure we check our tire pressure and condition. You can come right down here to your valve stem, and that's where you're going to check / add air. You should be at approximately 35 psi. And don't forget about your spare tire. Let's go ahead and feel that tread on our tire here. This is going to be super important. You want to make sure you have some good meat there. Go ahead and measure this. Make sure you have at least 2 to 4 30-seconds in there. Anything less than that is pretty much dangerous. I like to have, well, the more the merrier, to be honest with you. While we're talking about the tread, we should also talk about making sure that you're caught up to date on your tire rotation. If you're going to be doing your tire rotation, you want to take those rear tires and bring them straight forward, and you want to take your front tires and crisscross them to the rear. Now these wheels are pretty wide open, so you have a nice clear view of what's going on behind them. You can see your brake rotor. You want to make sure the condition of that is in good shape, and you also can see your brake pad. This is your outer pad. Just take a peek, make sure you have a pretty good amount of meat. You can look from underneath the truck and see if you can see that inner pad, make sure that has meat as well. You would want to do that for all 4 wheels. Next, we're going to want to make sure we check our front end and suspension on this. To do that, you want to safely put a jack and a stand underneath your lower control arm. Once you've done that, you can carefully grab onto your tire just like this at 3 and 9. Give it a little shake side to side. If you feel any movement, it's more than likely from one of your inner or outer tie rod ends. Or go ahead and grab it like this at 12 and 6. Give this a nice shake as well. If you have movement at the 12 and 6 movement, typically it's going to be due to a ball joint, whether it's your upper or your lower, but it could also be your wheel bearing, so don't rule that out. From underneath the truck, you also want to make sure you're checking the rest of the suspension up here. You're of course going to have your front coilover shocks. You want to make sure that the coils are in good condition. If they're cracked or they look like they're starting to get weak, that's something that you're going to want to service. Generally, you do that at the same time as the shock, which is behind it there. Typically, you do those as a pair with the other side at the same time. You also want to take a peek up inside here and see if you see any fluid leaking down. That would essentially mean that the shock itself is blown. Let's also take a look at our front axles. You want to take a look at those boots, make sure that they're not torn or anything like that. Check them both, and of course, make sure you do the same on both axles. Take a peek at your sway bar link bushings, make sure that those are good, they're not dry and cracked, and then of course you have your sway bar bushings right here. Do the same for those. Continuing with suspension, you're also going to have parts in the rear you want to take a peek at. You've got of course your shocks, you've got your coil springs, you're also going to have your sway bar links and those bushings. Check them all. So now let's just do a quick touch on the driveline system again. We talked about it a little bit while we were up top, but we need to get a little bit more into it. You're going to have a front differential, assuming that you have a 4-wheel drive unit. That's something that you're going to want to check the fluid on, and of course you're going to have a rear differential. That's also something that you want to check the fluid on. Typically those services are going to be due way before 100,000 miles, so I always like to at least keep an eye on them to make sure that they're up to par. You're also going to want to make sure you check them for leaks. Anything that looks like this looks like it might be seeping. You're also going to have drive shafts that attach to those differentials. In between the drive shaft and the differential, you're going to have U-joints. You want to make sure you check those. Typically, you can kind of wiggle the drive shaft around, give it a little twist, and even kind of shift it. If you see movement inside the cups, you're probably going to want to grease it. If it doesn't have any grease fittings, then it's a non-serviceable U-joint, in which case you'd replace it. If that was the case, you would replace them both as a pair for the rear drive shaft, and then the same for the front if you had an issue there. But make sure you check all those U-joints. While we're under here, it really couldn't hurt to take a look at a couple other things. You're going to have flex hoses that are part of your braking system. You're going to want to make sure that those are all good. They're not dry and cracked, and they're definitely still flexible. You also want to make sure you check your brake lines. Those should be coated, but in case they aren't in some areas, you're going to want to make sure you check them because you don't want them to be rotted out and potentially lose your brakes. There's going to be some other things such as e-brake cables. You want to make sure that you don't have any cracks or frays in any of that. Any area that might be rubbed through, you could potentially get moisture inside there, and then you're not going to have a good e-brake. That's going to be an issue. A couple last things before we get out from underneath the truck. We want to make sure we check our exhaust. Check all the seams, check all the joints, check everything that looks like it might potentially have a leak. The exhaust on this is going to be very large, and of course it's more than likely going to be very expensive. So if you can find a leak, catch it early, hopefully you can fix it ASAP. Other things besides that, go ahead and just take a quick peek under here and just make sure you don't have any leaks anywhere. If you see a leak someplace, that's definitely something that you're going to want to look at / diagnose or even fix, of course, right? Let's get back out from underneath the truck for a little bit. We're going to talk about the fuel cap. You want to make sure that it's in good condition. You're going to have a seal right in here. Make sure it's not dry rotted and cracked, and it's definitely not too firm. You want it to be nice and soft. You also want to make sure as you're putting it on here, you give it a nice turn so it's supposed to lock in. you're gonna get that one little click. If you don't get a click, well, it says it right here. Your check engine light might turn on. All right, so inside the vehicle, let's go ahead and make sure we check our lights. You also wanna make sure you check your horn, and of course the wipers. Perfect. Okay, friends, so that's pretty much what I've got for you on a 100,000 mile service for this Cadillac Escalade. Of course, there's gonna be a whole bunch of things that I missed along the way, so if you got something to say, leave it in the comment section below, because I always love to hear from you. Of course, if you got one of these vehicles of your own, and you got something to talk about, maybe a story or two or something else, leave that down there as well. Like I said, I love to read it, I love to hear from you. I hope you liked the video. If you did, smash on the like button for me. It would mean the world. Subscribe and ring the bell. That way there you can be kept up with all of our latest content. Thanks.